The night was quiet, with only the whisper of the wind brushing against the trees. A lone traveler drove down a deserted highway, his headlights cutting through the darkness. Then, out of nowhere, the sky ignited with an eerie glow. A massive, silent craft hovered above, defying all logic. The traveler's heart pounded as his car radio crackled with static. And just as suddenly as it appeared, the object vanished into the abyss of the night. This isn't the opening scene of a science fiction movie. It's a story that thousands, perhaps millions of people around the world have experienced. From ancient civilizations to modern military pilots, unexplained flying objects have haunted humanity for centuries. But what exactly are they? A mere trick of the eye, advanced military technology, or something far beyond our comprehension? The earliest accounts, history's first encounters. Long before the term UFO was coined, strange sightings were recorded in the skies. Ancient cave paintings in Australia depict what appear to be disc-shaped crafts and humanoid figures with elongated heads. In 1561, the citizens of Nuremberg, Germany, claimed to have witnessed a celestial battle between mysterious flying objects, detailed in woodcut illustrations that survive to this day. Even in the 1800s, American newspapers reported sightings of airships gliding silently above the countryside. One of the most famous early cases took place in 1897 in Aurora, Texas. Witnesses claimed that a mysterious airship crashed on a farm, leaving behind wreckage and the small body of a humanoid creature. The local newspaper reported that the being was buried in the town cemetery, though any evidence was either lost or deliberately hidden over time. Roswell and the birth of the UFO phenomenon. Despite centuries of reports, the modern UFO phenomenon truly exploded in 1947. On a warm summer evening in 1947, Roswell, New Mexico, a rancher stumbled upon strange debris scattered across his land. Metallic fragments that seemed impossibly light, yet indestructible. The U.S. military initially announced they had recovered a flying disc, only to retract the statement hours later, insisting it was nothing more than a weather balloon. That reversal ignited decades of speculation. Witnesses swore they had seen military personnel recover bodies from the crash, bodies that didn't look human. Some claimed the wreckage was taken to a secret facility, where advanced alien technology was reverse engineered. Was this simply Cold War paranoia? Or was something truly extraordinary hidden in the desert that night? The Cold War and government cover-ups. The late 1940s and 1950s saw a surge in UFO sightings. Pilots, both military and commercial, reported mysterious objects that outpaced their aircraft with impossible maneuvers. The U.S. government launched Project Blue Book, a formal investigation into these incidents, but most cases were dismissed as natural phenomena or misidentified aircraft. Yet, behind closed doors, classified documents revealed a different story. The CIA was concerned that these objects might be Soviet technology, or something even more unexplainable. Documents declassified decades later confirmed that officials were not only investigating UFOs, but were also actively suppressing public panic. The Phoenix Lights in the modern era of UFO sightings. As technology advanced, so did the reports of UFOs. One of the most chilling mass sightings occurred on March 13, 1997, over Phoenix, Arizona. Thousands of people, including police officers and politicians, witnessed an enormous, silent craft hovering over the city, blocking out the stars. Despite numerous eyewitnesses and video recordings, the U.S. military dismissed the event as flares. But how could flares remain perfectly stationary for hours and move in an intelligent formation? Over the decades, more and more whistleblowers have come forward, claiming that governments around the world know more than they let on. With modern-day fighter pilots releasing cockpit footage of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, the mystery only deepens. If UFOs were never real, why have governments spent so much time and effort denying their existence? What secrets lie hidden in classified archives? The answers may be closer than we think, but only if we dare to ask the right questions. For decades, governments around the world have played a delicate game with the truth. On one hand, they dismiss UFO sightings as mere misinterpretations, weather balloons, aircraft reflections, or natural atmospheric phenomena. On the other hand, declassified documents reveal intense, long-standing investigations into these very objects. If UFOs were truly nothing more than figments of human imagination, why go through such lengths to control the narrative? Perhaps the answer lies not in what governments have told us, but in what they haven't. The birth of secrecy, Project Blue Book and the Majestic 12. By the early 1950s, UFO sightings had become a global phenomenon. People from all walks of life, farmers, airline pilots, military personnel, reported encounters with unidentified flying objects performing maneuvers far beyond known aviation capabilities. This led the U.S. Air Force to establish Project Blue Book, a formal attempt to investigate and catalog UFO reports. But the results of the project were less about uncovering the truth and more about shaping public perception. While thousands of cases were analyzed, the official conclusion dismissed the vast majority as natural misinterpretations. Only a handful remained unexplained, and even those were quietly buried beneath layers of bureaucracy. At the same time, rumors of a far more secretive initiative began to emerge. Majestic 12, a supposed top-secret group of military and scientific experts tasked with studying extraterrestrial encounters. Documents leaked in the 1980s suggested that this shadowy organization had been in operation since 1947, the same year as the infamous Roswell incident. The authenticity of these documents remains a topic of heated debate, but one question lingers. If they were fabricated, why did intelligence agencies go to such great lengths to discredit them? Silencing the witnesses. One of the most chilling aspects of the UFO cover-up is the consistent pattern of silencing those who know too much. Military pilots who have come forward with reports of unidentified craft have been threatened with career-ending consequences. Scientists who dared to investigate the phenomenon have found their reputations systematically destroyed. Take, for example, Bob Lazar, a physicist who claimed to have worked at a secret facility near Area 51. Lazar alleged that he had first-hand experience studying advanced, otherworldly technology, reverse engineering an anti-gravity propulsion system that defied all known physics. His claims were met with immediate skepticism, and soon after, his academic records and employment history were mysteriously erased. Even high-ranking officials haven't been immune. Commander David Fravor, a highly decorated U.S. Navy pilot, witnessed a UFO off the coast of California in 2004, the now infamous Tic Tac UFO encounter. His account was supported by radar footage and multiple trained observers, yet the government remained tight-lipped about the incident for nearly 2 decades. Why? Disinformation as a weapon. Governments have long understood that controlling information is more effective than outright suppression. Enter disinformation, a tactic designed not to hide the truth, but to drown it in a sea of conflicting stories. For every legitimate UFO sighting, there are a dozen hoaxes, planted false leads, and misleading official statements. This strategy creates confusion, making it nearly impossible to separate fact from fiction. People begin to question everything, even the credible witnesses, until the entire topic is written off as the domain of conspiracy theorists. The infamous Area 51 is a perfect example. For decades, its very existence was denied. Then, when satellite imagery and whistleblowers forced the U.S. government to acknowledge it, they admitted it was merely a testing site for experimental aircraft. No mention of extraterrestrial research. No acknowledgement of decades of UFO reports. Just enough truth to satisfy casual curiosity, while the deeper mysteries remain locked away, the need for control. Why hide the truth? If UFOs and extraterrestrial craft are real, why keep them secret? The possible reasons are as unsettling as they are intriguing. 1. National security. If these objects possess technology far beyond human capability, revealing their existence could expose military vulnerabilities. The first nation to harness such power would gain an unimaginable strategic advantage. 2. Public panic. Governments fear that the confirmation of intelligent extraterrestrial life could trigger mass hysteria, religious upheaval, or widespread loss of trust in institutions. 3. Technological suppression. If UFOs use advanced propulsion systems based on zero-point energy or anti-gravity, it would render fossil fuels, and the global industries that depend on them, obsolete overnight. The economic and political consequences would be catastrophic for those in power. As we move further into the 21st century, the cracks in the official story are beginning to widen. Declassified footage from the Pentagon, increasing whistleblower testimonies, and growing public pressure are making it harder for governments to maintain the charade. The real question isn't whether UFOs exist, but how much longer can the truth be kept hidden? For decades, the world has been fed a carefully curated narrative about UFOs, one designed to dismiss, ridicule, and ultimately suppress the phenomenon. But something changed in recent years. High-ranking military officials, intelligence operatives, and even government agencies have started to speak openly about encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. The shift has been slow, calculated, leaked videos from fighter jets, official reports acknowledging unknown craft operating in restricted airspace, and testimonies from decorated military personnel have forced governments to reconsider their long-standing policy of silence. Yet, even as they admit something is out there, they remain vague, evasive. Why? The answer may lie in the delicate balance between disclosure and control. Governments are walking a fine line, giving the public just enough information to prevent outright rebellion, while keeping the most shocking truths hidden. The Pentagon's UAP report, a carefully measured revelation. On June 25, 2021, the Pentagon released a long-awaited report on UAPs. For years, skeptics claimed UFOs were nothing more than science fiction, but this document changed everything. The report analyzed 144 military encounters with UAPs between 2004 and 2021. Out of those, 143 remained unexplained. These objects demonstrated impossible speed and acceleration, far beyond any known human aircraft. Advanced maneuverability, making sudden 90-degree turns at hypersonic speeds. No visible propulsion systems, no exhaust, no wings, no traditional flight mechanisms. This was not a conspiracy theory. It was the official stance of the U.S. government. Yet, despite this stunning admission, the report carefully avoided the most pressing question: what are these objects? Instead, it framed the phenomenon as a potential national security threat, a tactic that conveniently allows for secrecy under the guise of defense. NASA's involvement, a step toward full disclosure? In 2023, NASA launched an official UAP research team, marking the first time the space agency formally acknowledged the importance of investigating UFOs. For decades, NASA had largely stayed silent, dismissing sightings as misidentifications or atmospheric anomalies. But now, something had changed. Publicly, NASA's position remained cautious. They claimed they were simply looking for anomalies in the skies. But behind closed doors, leaked emails and whistleblower testimonies suggest that NASA has known about unexplained aerial encounters for much longer than they admit. If that's true, then why now? Why is the conversation shifting? Controlled disclosure. The slow unveiling of the truth. One possibility is that governments are engaging in controlled disclosure, releasing small fragments of truth in a carefully managed way. If UFOs and extraterrestrial intelligence have been known to world leaders for decades, revealing everything at once could destabilize economies, shatter religious beliefs, and erode public trust in institutions. By feeding the public partial truths, officials can maintain control over the narrative. This tactic creates a slow psychological acclimatization, preparing society for the possibility of extraterrestrial life without causing panic. But controlled disclosure has its risks. If too many whistleblowers come forward, if too much information leaks too quickly, governments could lose control of the situation entirely. The rise of independent researchers, former intelligence officers, and civilian organizations demanding transparency is pushing the issue toward an inevitable breaking point. What's at stake? The real reasons for secrecy. Or why the hesitation? If UFOs are real, and if they represent something beyond human technology, what are governments really afraid of? 1. The loss of power. If extraterrestrial civilizations exist, and if they are visiting Earth, then humanity is no longer at the top of the intelligence hierarchy. World governments would lose their authority overnight. 2. Religious and cultural upheaval. Many of the world's religions are based on the idea that humans are unique, divinely created beings. The confirmation of intelligent extraterrestrial life could send shockwaves through faith communities. 3. Economic disruption. If UFOs operate using zero-point energy or anti-gravity propulsion, it would render the entire fossil fuel industry obsolete. The world's economic structure, built around oil, gas, and limited energy resources, would collapse. 4. Military vulnerability. If these objects possess technology light years ahead of anything humans have developed, then no military force on Earth is truly in control. This is a terrifying reality for world powers. Perhaps the biggest reason for secrecy is simple. Governments do not have the answers. If they admit that UAPs exist but have no way to control or even understand them, it would expose their own helplessness. For nations built on the illusion of power, this is an unacceptable reality. The breaking point. Will the truth finally emerge? The tide is shifting. More officials are coming forward. More documents are being declassified. More footage is surfacing. The era of absolute secrecy is ending. But that doesn't mean full disclosure is around the corner. What happens next depends on who controls the narrative. Will governments continue their slow, calculated approach? Or will an unexpected revelation force the truth into the open before they're ready? As technology advances and civilian space exploration grows, one thing is certain: the truth can't be hidden forever. But when it does come out, will we be ready for what we learn? The world stands at the edge of a revelation, one that could redefine science, philosophy, religion, and even the very fabric of society. For decades, governments have played a careful game of suppression and controlled disclosure. But the momentum is shifting. Whistleblowers, declassified documents, and technological advancements are making it increasingly difficult to keep the phenomenon hidden. The question is no longer if UFOs exist, but rather, what happens next? Are we on the verge of an official disclosure? Will society be prepared for the implications of extraterrestrial contact? Or will secrecy persist, with truth remaining just beyond our reach? The future of ufology is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The search for answers is no longer confined to government agencies. It has become a global movement. Technology and the rise of civilian investigators. For most of the 20th century, the investigation of UFOs was almost exclusively controlled by governments and military organizations. Civilian sightings were often dismissed due to a lack of concrete evidence. But the 21st century has changed the rules. With high-resolution cameras in every smartphone, advanced satellite imagery, and AI-driven data analysis, the power to document and analyze unidentified aerial phenomena is no longer limited to intelligence agencies. Civilian researchers, private aerospace companies, and independent investigative groups are beginning to compile their own databases, free from government interference. Organizations like the Galileo Project, led by Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, seek to apply scientific methodology to UFO research. Instead of relying on anecdotal evidence, they aim to collect direct observational data using advanced telescopes, sensors, and AI-driven tracking systems. As technology continues to evolve, the question arises: can the truth be hidden forever when the entire world has the tools to seek it? Government disclosure, a question of when, not if. The slow trickle of government admissions has already begun. The Pentagon's UAP task force, NASA's recent involvement, and the release of declassified military footage all point toward a gradual unraveling of the secrecy. But disclosure is a double-edged sword. If governments have hidden knowledge of non-human intelligences for decades, how will the public react when they finally admit it? The potential consequences are staggering. 1. Loss of trust. If world governments have concealed extraterrestrial contact, public faith in institutions could collapse overnight. 2. Religious and existential crises. If humanity is not alone, what does that mean for our place in the universe? Some religions might adapt, while others may struggle with the implications. 3. Geopolitical tensions. Nations may race to exploit advanced alien technology for military or economic gain, leading to a new kind of arms race. 4. Scientific renaissance. Access to alien technology or knowledge could revolutionize physics, energy production, and space travel. Humanity may be on the brink of a new era of discovery. If disclosure is inevitable, governments must decide how to reveal the truth without causing chaos. But can they control the narrative forever? Contact. What if they make the first move? While humans debate the secrecy surrounding UFOs, one possibility is often overlooked. What if extraterrestrials decide to make themselves known, on their own terms? There is a growing belief among ufologists that non-human intelligence may already be preparing for contact. Some theorists speculate that UFO sightings are deliberate, a slow introduction to prevent mass hysteria. Instead of a sudden global event, the process may be unfolding in stages. 1. Subtle exposure. Increased sightings and encounters, allowing humanity to gradually accept their presence. 2. Official acknowledgement. Governments admitting to the phenomenon but withholding full details. 3rd. Limited contact. Select individuals or organizations being approached, preparing for large-scale interaction. 4. Global disclosure. A direct, undeniable event. One that forces the entire world to recognize the reality of extraterrestrial life. If contact happens on their terms, humanity may have no choice but to accept it. The real question is, are we ready? The future of secrecy. Will the cover-up continue?